Thanks for being here with us this evening. We've got a PowerPoint presentation for you that I'm going to take you through quite quickly. And I want to tell you that this is a very new company. We only recently listed on the stock exchange. We listed on August the 4th, so we're trading for about a month and a half now. And we only founded the company 16, 17 months ago now. And it's been an absolute roller coaster ride in terms of moving into New Zealand and establishing ourselves there as a dominant player. We do have an extensive forward-looking statement slide, and I'll just move on from that slide, and I assume you'll all read it later. So we are an explorer of and for conventional and unconventional oil and gas in New Zealand. Our focus is solely New Zealand, and we are not only an explorer and a developer, but we hope to be a near-term producer. We have an extensive land position that covers approximately 2 million acres in country, and this makes us one of the largest land holders or permit holders in the country. And this has been established once again over a very short period of time. We have 5 permits that straddle 2 areas of New Zealand that I'll show you in just a moment, but suffice to say that we've recently drilled our first well, our discovery well, and we have made a significant discovery in the Mount Messenger Formation, where we production tested the well for a 48-hour period at 1,100 barrels a day. And that's barrels of oil a day, not barrels of oil equivalent. So very important distinction to be made there. So we are very excited about that, and we are hoping to build on that success. So we're about to production test it for a little more of an extended period of time, and then are developing facilities to put it into permanent production. We have a very important and unique management team in our country, or in our company. What we've done is when we went to New Zealand initially as entrepreneurs, we utilized the services of the best oil and gas consulting firm in the country. And they helped us identify projects and properties that we wanted to acquire. And by doing that, we developed a strong relationship with this group. And we liked them so much, they'd been established for over 26 years. They were the preeminent group in the country that we acquired them. And not for cash so much as we gave them equity in our company, so that their interests were completely aligned with ours. They came in-house to be our technical team, and this group has extensive experience in geology, geophysics, logistics, and other attributes. One of the most important things that they brought along with us was an extensive and proprietary 2D and 3D seismic database that covered the whole country. And what they'd done is they'd assembled raw data that was in the public domain over a 20-year period, and then had reprocessed or reinterpreted it. So they have a really strong understanding of the whole country. And that's now in-house with us as our proprietary database. Their chief executive officer became our chief operating officer. All right, why New Zealand? New Zealand is a country that's known to have a number of proven hydrocarbon systems. There are over 18 onshore and offshore basins in the country. There's a very favorable royalty and tax structure, a very proactive government, and there is great established infrastructure. And I get questions periodically about New Zealand and infrastructure. And this map that's highlighted on the slide in front of you now not only indicates the 2 areas that we're active in, which is the west coast being the Taranaki Basin, and there's a red circle that circles that area. But also the east coast, which is the oval, which is a very important area with some very thick shale packages there that are known to drive hydrocarbons. In the Taranaki Basin, just for those of you that may not be familiar with New Zealand, that's the producing area, and it's producing about 55,000 barrels of oil and liquids a day and about 460 million cubic feet of gas a day. So it's very robust in production. What's highlighted also on that slide in red are actually the pipelines. So these are the gas pipeline systems that exist in country. And I pause on this slide just for a moment with you to give you a clear understanding of if you discover either oil or gas, what do you do with it? If you discover oil, it's quite a simple process, because typically you bring your oil into tankage systems that are right on surface, and then you take a fleet of tanker trucks that come up and pick up your oil, and they drive them about 40 kilometers to a Shell tank farm. And once your truck crosses the gate, that's where they identify how much oil you're delivering, and that's when they determine payment. So this is a very simple system where you don't need an oil pipeline here. The oil is trucked. In terms of the gas, There's a very strong gas pipeline system that's an open access system. And that system, so you're discovering gas. For us, from our properties, we're about a 3-kilometer tie-in to a tie-in point. And from there, it goes into the open system and you can sell your gas. There's a very strong market for gas, and the market for gas is driven by Methanex that has a very large methane producer or production facility in the area, and it's only at 40% capacity. So they are desperate for natural gas and are currently looking for about 120 million cubic feet a day and would love to expand their capacity there. I'm going to zero in on our properties. So we'll look at the Taranaki Basin, which is the area on the west-hand side, the producing fairway of the country. In the Taranaki Basin, we have 2 permits that are that accumulate over 150,000 acres in that particular area. We've used AJM Petroleum Consultants to give an idea of the size of the resource there, and they ascribe 730 million barrels of oil equivalent as our original oil in place. And then that's distilled down to about 66 million barrels of oil equivalent on a recoverable basis, and that's at a 9% recovery rate. Recovery rates in the area do range up as high as 20 to 30%, so we think we've understated our recovery rate there. Once again, I've put on this slide that we have made our discovery, and it's in that area on one of our permits that I'll zero in just a moment. The East Coast is where the really big arm-waving numbers are. On the East Coast, we have 2 permits at the south end that you can see in yellow, and 1 permit at the north end that's just about to be issued to us. When you arm wave in terms of the original oil in place numbers there, they get to be very large because there are 2, as I mentioned, thick shale packages there that are driving the oil and gas in the area. And so AJM Petroleum Consultants has ascribed 22.3 billion barrels of original oil in place to those East Coast permits. Large numbers indeed. I'll do a little comparison with a company called TAG Oil for you in a few moments, because I'm sure that maybe a number of you might be familiar with that company, just to give you a comparison. In terms of recoverability rate, AJM looks at just a 2% recovery rate on the unconventional resource, and that still brings us down to an enormous 478 million barrels of oil equivalent in terms of the recoverable component. I'm zeroing in on the Taranaki Basin now. So in the Taranaki Basin, what we've highlighted here for you is in the red are gas pools that are existing today producing gas fields, and in the green are oil fields that are producing currently. Our 2 permits are located at the south end of the Taranaki Basin, right in the midst of the production fairway of the country. And we're very fortunate to acquire those permits, and we, our time doesn't permit me to go into the extensive story on how we acquired them, but effectively they were distressed assets that we managed to step in and put back into compliance prior to the government taking them back into their possession. So we were very fortunate to do that, and the risk has really paid off. There is a dotted green oval that's around our 2 permit areas, and just to put it in perspective, over 18,000 barrels of oil equivalent a day are produced just out of that area alone. Now I'm going in even a little bit further, and what we've done on this slide, and there's a lot of detail there, but it will be in your handouts. On the left-hand side, we've summarized a number of the events that TAG Oil has achieved over the last period of time. TAG's been a very successful company. We've really appreciated their success because it's assisted us in our programs as well. But also, the TAG permits are just 2 permits to the north, and I'll just put a dot on them. So just one moment. I've just been given the 2-minute warning, so I'm going to move by quite quickly. But suffice to say that this is the area where we're very active in, and that's where our discovery has been made. On the East Coast, what we've shown here is all the holders in the East Coast were pictured in gold. The red dots are are gas seeps that come to surface. The green dots are oil seeps that come to surface, and they're all typed from those very thick shale packages. So we have large shale packages there. We've done our own independent study comparing the 2 shale formations, the Whangai and the Waipawa, with the Bakken shale. So we don't arm wave and just sort of say we're like that. We know that we are very similar to those, except the Whangai shale is an order of magnitude thicker, and that's what drives the large resource numbers. We also are in possession of the only deep test on the East Coast that actually goes down into those shale formations. We've seen gas condensate and oil in that well bore, and we're about to go in and core that well ourselves in the next couple of months. I'm going to move past this as well. Just to note that there's a number of majors that are moving into our area, and just offshore from our northern permit, Petrobras has come in 2010 and taken a large permit, just finished seismic program, and we look forward to their drilling program. Our value drivers are quite clear. We have an exceptional management team that has in-country experience and has a tool of 2D and 3D seismic data that allows us to evaluate new prospects and opportunities and allows us to highlight drilling prospects for us on our properties. We also have our leadership comes from North America with extensive experience in the Western Canadian sedimentary basin, so they're very experienced in conventional and unconventional shale. In terms of the Copper Moki well, which is our discovery well, we've now made the discovery, we've production tested it, and we expect to put it into production before the end of the year. We were very pleased at 1,100 barrels a day. Copper Moki-2 is, we've identified on 3D seismic, and we're about to drill that well also. And we will be re-entering that well on the east coast to really establish the value and the potential of the shales on the east coast. I'm getting away from the back here now, so with that, our share structure, as most of you might want to know, we've got just over 100 million shares outstanding. We have approximately $24 million in our treasury. Thanks very much for your attendance today.